Cowboys are sitting at like 2-5, 2 and something like that, McCarthy could be gone by the bye week.
I want to talk about coaches on the hot seat right now. As we all know, not all the blame can go straight to the coaches most of the time. A lot of factors come into play, but as we all know, we're almost a quarter of the way through the NFL season already, and one loss could mean the difference between making the playoffs and missing it. So I want to give you guys some coaches that are possibly on the hot seat. I want you to rank them 1 to 10, with 10 being he's gone, and tell me if you think they're staying or if they're out. All right, so first one. Safid, how do you feel about Saleh?
Robert Saleh? I think it's pretty low right now. I'll give it a 5 if it's hot at all. Look, this is really the first year with Aaron Rodgers there in New York, and trust me, it feels really bad to have a loss with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, but it feels even worse to have a loss when Zach Wilson is your quarterback. So no need to panic on Robert Saleh just yet.
Fair enough. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's higher. I'm going to go like 7, 8 maybe. Like, I hear what you're saying, Safid, but the problem is Aaron Rodgers is 40. He's turning 41 in December. How many more years do you need? Like, this is the year. Like, he's been in the program. Obviously, the Achilles thing was an issue, but he's been long enough in that building that the mistakes that are happening should not be happening.
Right.
And I just don't know how much more time this team has. So. Right. And you also have to look at Saleh's record.
It seems like sometimes he's not even really coaching.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. There's a lot going on, but when you look at the mental mistakes that team, that they make consistently, I don't know. I have a hard time with the Jets.
Okay, all right. Sirianni, you first.
I've been kind of a Sirianni hater over the years. It's just another team that it's just like they have so much talent. You just have to question a lot of the decisions that are being made. In particular, I think you have to give them some leeway because not having Devontae and not having A.J. Brown, obviously that's a huge blow. Those are, 2 of their most dynamic weapons. But Jalen Hurts, he seems to have maybe regressed a little bit, plateaued. He's just not taking the steps that you want to see him taking. And we were talking about him maybe getting fired last year after they started out and then just collapsed late in the year. I think this is pushing 8-9.
Pushing 8-9. So you think if they don't make the postseason this year, he's out?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's out.
Yeah.
What do you think, Safid?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. But we have to remember too, Devontae Smith out with a concussion, A.J. Brown out with a hamstring, during the first month of the season. The Eagles looked really good against the Packers, especially with Saquon Barkley, who's probably the best signing in the NFL this offseason. So I agree with you, Lorenzo. I think Sirianni should have cut the ties with him last season, and maybe even given Bill Belichick the job. But that's another story for this offseason coming up.
Okay, so you put it at a 9 for Sirianni.
I'm at a 7-8 right now, 7-8, but it's gonna get up there for sure.
All right. My favorite one. Can't wait to hear what you gentlemen think about this. McCarthy. I'm putting him at a 9 right now, personally. I'm putting him at a 9 just based off the franchise, their expectations, what fans are feeling right now. But Safid, what do you think about McCarthy?
10, all the way up
He's
to
out.
a 10. If he can go higher, it'd be even hotter. Look, the Cowboys lost 3 home games, primetime home games. They were completely dominated, right? They lost in the playoffs to the Packers. They lost 2 already this season. It's a good thing they got that win over the Giants on Thursday Night Football, but even that game, they didn't look great. Look, they have the Steelers and the Lions coming up, I believe, and if the Cowboys are sitting at like 2-5, 2 and something like that, McCarthy could be gone by the bye week. That's my opinion.
Ooh.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
See,
I
think it's up there. I just know Jerry doesn't like making mid-season moves. He tends to wait, even with like Jason Garrett, when everyone knew he was gone. They wait until the end of the season. I think this is another guy similar to Sirianni. I think he should have been gone last year. The fact that they brought him back after that collapse in the playoffs
You think it's a pride
to the Packers.
thing?
I think Jerry, for all his things, I think he likes to have stability in the coaching, specifically in the head coaching position. It's another team where you look at they have pieces, and they just consistently underdeliver. And I think a lot of to McCarthy's, maybe not credit, but like in his defense, Dallas for so long, their identity has been on the ground. Their identity has been shoving people on the line of scrimmage on both sides. Dallas can't stop the run either. That's another problem. And when a team has its sort of culture for a half a decade and it's completely shifted or it starts to erode, it's hard for, I think, for a head coach to be like, okay, this is one thing we did, and then how are we going to revamp that? But the running game is just a mess. Like and you know, when Jerry Jones was like, yeah, we couldn't afford Derrick Henry. I'm sorry, no, you could have. You just didn't want to pay a running back that. And I honestly, like, paying a running back is, in terms of NFL economics, is an interesting debate. But like, we see what Derrick Henry is doing in Baltimore, and yeah, I think McCarthy's gone. This is all.
Okay.
If they don't make the playoffs, McCarthy's gone. But he will have legitimate beef with some of the front office decisions.
Okay, we're all in agreement on that one. All right, Pederson. How are we feeling about him?
Oh man, I mean, Doug, like, I feel bad. I'm firing everyone. Like, I just.
You're out. You get out. You get
But like
out.
but this is a team that, like, you know, Trevor Lawrence, Doug Pederson has been a quarterback coach, and Trevor Lawrence is not improving. If anything, he doesn't look confident. His footwork's a mess. He's sort of like, his pocket presence, he's like almost rolling into pressure. This was a team that they had some good years, and they were kind of built to maybe make some noise in the AFC South.
They went a little far.
Yeah, I mean, and they've been on the cusp of playoffs, or I mean, they were on the way to it last season, and then they just lost all those games. I think in the last 10 games they've won one of them, going back to last season. So yeah, it's a concern. I mean, I think they're 0-4. I mean, if they go down this week, I think you have to talk about maybe, yeah.
So he's at a 9.
I'm firing everyone. Why not fire Doug?
All right, Safid, where are you putting him? Where are you putting
I'm
Doug?
at a 7-8 just because the Jaguars are such like a low profile team, right? Like, we only really talk about Trevor Lawrence being bad when everybody's on social media agreeing about Trevor Lawrence being bad, right? Like, it seems like he's hit a plateau. I'm not sure if he's hit his ceiling, but it definitely feels like he's hit a plateau this season under Doug Pederson. And this is another one. This is another situation where Bill Belichick's name is going to come up. And, you know, if the Jags owner, Shad Khan, has a ton of money, wants to give it to Bill Belichick and have him, you know, have the keys to the franchise entirely like Belichick wants, it seems like a match made in heaven for both parties.
Right. All right. Saving the best one for last. As a Dolphins fan, you used to cover the Dolphins, and I know you're a big Dolphins guy too, for both of you. So how are we feeling about Mike McDaniel right now? Safid, where are you putting him at on that hot seat?
Yeah, look, Mike McDaniel is not entirely on the hot seat just yet, but he definitely deserves, you know, the light being on, the fire being turned on.
Okay.
You know, they made the playoffs 2 straight years, but this season, the roster is just really, really thin. It's top heavy. You know, outside of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey and Tua Tagovailoa, you have a couple other players, but it's really, really thin. And offensively, they just look horrible. The backup quarterback situation has not gone well for them. They did not expect Tua to suffer a concussion like he did in week 2, especially after he played every game last season. And all of these things have kind of snowballed on them in the first month of the year.
Yeah, that grill, they started the polls. Yeah, they turned that on. I mean,
I don't see them firing him next year.
No, but they didn't look good when Tua was in there. Like, they've had one good half, and it was against the Jaguars in the second half, week 1, when they had to come back to beat Jacksonville. And even then, if it's not for Travis Etienne fumbling the ball, they probably lose that game too. I think there are serious signs of concern in Miami. A lot of them, again, similar to what I was talking about with the Cowboys, you have to look at the front office and decisions that Chris Greer has made. It's great that Tua played so many games last year, but you know he has an injury history. You cannot go into the season with Skylar Thompson as your backup quarterback. The offensive line was an issue that everyone knew was a concern. Chris Greer seemed to think that it was okay. So there's blame to go everywhere. The problem I see with the Dolphins, and specifically with Mike McDaniel, is that there's a culture there of not lack of urgency, not really just grinding and working and just putting intense effort. they're kind of a soft team, and they get pushed around. And normally we see this from the Dolphins late in the year. The fact that this collapse is happening so soon, it's concerning. And this is a hard one. I mean, I'd probably put it like at a 5 right now.
So the Coles have been on for a little bit.
Well, it's just like how much, again, I think it's like how much time are we giving this sort of build? And if Tua's going to come back, I think it's week 8, week 9 or whatever, when he comes off of IR and they have the bye week, you need to see immediate improvement. And if we see the same thing where the offense is cratering, McDaniel is calling a weird game lately, a lot of horizontal runs, he's not hitting the middle of the field. If we see the same sort of stagnant and like uninspired play, I think you have to ask the question, because there are coaches out there that would be potentially replacements. I mean, we've talked about Belichick, but I think Mike Vrabel's a candidate out there who's had success, and he's had success in building physical teams, which is something I think Miami sorely needs. So, yeah, I'm not ready to fire him yet, but it's kind of baffling to see a lot of what's happening down there.
Hey sports fans, if you want to see more conversations with athletes and stars, check out these videos right here and be sure to subscribe for more from USA Today Sports.